Well, good morning everybody, welcome to our first Q&A of the CineWyre Film Festival 2026. I would like to introduce our very, very special guests, stars of and makers of the regional film End to End, and I'll let them introduce themselves to you all. I'm sure you know who they are.
Hi, my name is Anton Arenko, and I'm the director of End to End.
And I'm Tony Cowell, the captain of the Fleetwood to Knott End Ferry.
So I think we start with the simple stuff first. How did this film come about? How did you get involved? Why is it here?
So, I'm not originally from the area. I moved a few years ago. I'm originally from Stockport, and well, my mum moved here a few years ago. And basically I moved with her, but I'd come back from university not long and we moved to the area. And of course I'd been to Blackpool as a kid, but I'd never been to the other areas, so I'd never been to Fleetwood, never been to Lytham, never been to St Anne's, all that kind of the Foul Coast. So I got to explore it all. So I came to Fleetwood and I was like, oh actually this is a very beautiful place. I really love the history, the architecture. And then I took my first ride on the ferry around May 2023 with my dad. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. So then what happened was, a few months later, someone sent me a link, I think it was in December of that year, of a film fund by a company called Northern Heart Films, and they're based in Wigan. And it's for documentaries specifically, and their theme was working class stories. And I was like, okay, well, I haven't spoke to anyone by this point, but I thought, why not just say, well, I'd like to do it on the Fleetwood to Knott End Ferry, and just wrote a little bit of what I'd kind of do, maybe speak to the people who run it and stuff in the museum. So I filed it, didn't hear anything back for a couple of weeks because it was like December time, Christmas. Came back, and initially I got a rejection email saying, sorry, we can't accept it. We've gone with other people basically. And then they emailed me a couple of weeks later and said, oh, actually, we really like your idea, but unfortunately we don't have enough money to kind of support you. But what we can do is we can offer you advice and like technical support if you need. So I was like, okay. So it felt weird because I got given an honorary award and it felt weird winning an award for something I'd not yet done. So I was like, well, I've got to go do this now. So then I started my journey with the museum. They were really, really helpful, and also Lancashire libraries as well. They helped with a lot of the research, the newspaper you saw. I couldn't believe it when they sent me that. I was like, oh my God, from 1957, I was like, I couldn't believe it. So I had a lot of support and a lot of people really on board for it, and obviously that goes for Tony, who sat with me today, and just getting that initial like vote of confidence, like this could be a really nice little film and I think we could make it, was just the best really. So it was a support by the local community and the people in the film that helped make it happen, and everyone who just said yes to me and said, let's make this happen for you. So yeah.
So Tony, what was that first moment when you and Anton got together and he proposed the idea of doing this? How did that come about from your perspective? What were your thoughts when Anton told you his ideas and his thoughts?
Well, I thought it was a very good idea to try and keep the ferry in the forefront, you know, with the council and that, with the contract coming to the end. And like I say, the local elections now amalgamating with Blackpool and Fleetwood. And it's, you know, we've been promised the funding. I'm retired now, as I'm 70 this year, but, you know, it's still a part of me, you know. So I've been keeping interest with it, and they said the funding's still there, but they've got to agree now with this amalgamation. So yeah, the local elections are in this month, I think. May I think they're in. So we'll see how it goes.
What sort of challenges for you as just as a resident and a member of the public did that throw to you, being a part of a documentary, having somebody with a camera pointing it in your face, going to tell us your life story?
Well, Anton, as you can see, the film is absolutely brilliant. And it highlights the community of Fleetwood, you know, the fishing industry, and as well as the ferry, and the whole community, Knott End. You know, I see John Bradbury there, you know, the people that are over there, you know, that have lived at Knott End all their lives and know the river, and the stories that they have to tell. It's great that these people get out the stories, and he's the whole area, you know, not just Fleetwood, but Knott End as well.
So I imagine for you, Anton, as well, it would throw up similar challenges, making a documentary. It's very personal to the area, and getting people on camera to talk about their experiences. How easy or difficult was that to actually get the public involved and to get those people on camera to be honest and natural as well?
So I actually put a post out there. I said, look, I'm going to be filming on these days. Come down. I want to hear about your stories about the ferry and stuff like that. And like about 36 people showed up. So we had like 40 people just watching this film when we got to Knott End after we did the ferry crossing. So to keep it into perspective, we shot that film in 2 days. So what's miraculous and amazing is, for example, when Angela mentioned about the fog, I had no idea about that in my research. I didn't know that. What was miraculous was the day before, it was foggy in that footage, and that was from the first day. So I kind of put 2 and 2 together. I was like, oh my goodness, we've got something amazing here. We've got actual ferry, like footage of the ferry in fog. We have to do something with that, like 100%. But yeah, no, the support was amazing. And yeah, people were like, we had one lady who I think brought like a photo album of like some of the ferrymen who came out in like the 1870s and stuff, who I think it was like a great grandfather or something like that. And yeah, just a lot of passion from the community. And we also did a crowdfunder to help get us into festivals and help fund the edit as well. And a lot of people did back that locally as well. So it's very fortunate. And then it ultimately then tied in when I later set up the petition to try and save it. So it kind of came full circle then, and that really demonstrated, launching that petition, that people really do care about this thing. So yeah.
So you mentioned there about people like bringing you their memories, laid with a photo album that was there. So presumably when you're producing something like this and talking to so many people, you've got a wealth of footage to actually go through to edit it down to the 15, 18 minutes that we saw. Were there any stories or anything that you filmed that didn't end up in the final version, but you know, hit home or meant something to you? You thought it would have been good to have that, but you know, we've got to edit it, so it's going.
Yeah, so it's always difficult with documentaries because people talk about just everything, and you've got to be ruthless, unfortunately, and it's just one of these difficult things that you're racking your brain on. Well, does this work? Well, this is more important. You're only constrained by time. Yeah. So I think there was a lady who was saying how like literally it was like intergenerational for her parents and stuff, and she'd just come because she'd heard about, I think her daughter had brought her over, and literally came to the slipway and Knott End to talk with her. But obviously she was trying to remember dates and everything like that, and it was difficult to make it flow consistently. So it was kind of difficult, but it's just amazing how she's just really passionate about it. And yeah, no, it was brilliant. And there was another gentleman who came, I can't remember his name from the top of my head, but he was an old skipper. He moved to Knott End and everything, and he used to work on like the big tanker ships and stuff like that. And like he had got the staff from his care home to come down to talk to me, and I was like, I couldn't believe it. Like, and it's just a shame because you've just got to make these really difficult editing decisions. But like I say, the level of dedication is absolutely amazing from people in this area.
Tony, you mentioned as well the history of this. You've seen so many people, met so many people over the years. There's so many memories for people around. You mentioned a few of them as well. But for you personally, from all that time that you've spent with the ferry, are there some standout moments or memories to do with the people and the experience?
Well, there's too many. There's a lot of stories, and some of the people are fantastic. Some are not with us now, and I'll never forget them. And when you've got that few minutes or the waiting, you know, and we talk to each other, some of the stories that they've done, some that stand out. A man from the Isle of Man, he was in his 90s, and the Isle of Man ferry was running then, just once every month in June, and he used to come down and come on the ferry, and he'd sit at the top in the passenger chair. He'd just only come across once, come back, and then he'd sit in the chair and he'd just watch us go around. And he said him and his wife, when they was courting, they came to Fleetwood, and they lived in Fleetwood for a few years, and then went back to the Isle of Man. But that's when him and his wife, he said, we just love the ferry, and it's bringing back all my memories. And I said, and his son came a couple of years later, and he passed away, and he said, I had to come to see where my dad was sat, and was he sat up here? And I said, yeah. And he said, he's give you this letter. And it was a lovely letter saying how friendly we was, and how I sat and talked to him, you know, and it was a nice letter. So that sticks out. He wanted to relive their memories. And we've had people from South Africa, we've had people from America, Australia, New Zealand, that families had come on there, and they had to come back. And a couple of old elderly people who'd come up from South Africa, I always remember them, and they couldn't stop taking pictures of the ferry, you know, to take back to show their family where they met and where they used to work in Fleetwood. And it's lovely, it's lovely. There's funny stories as well that'll stick out, and I can tell, I'll tell a funny one. The rescues that the ferry did. And one of these rescues was a speedboat and a skier on the back. And unfortunately, they just borrowed, they was only young lads, I'd say 18, 19, and he did a quick turn and it threw him out of the boat. He had no top on, but his shorts got caught on the throttle and ripped them off as well. So as we come round to rescue the skier, and then we rescue, he shouted to my crew member as we lowered the gangway to get him on board, I've got nothing on. So I had 20 passengers on this ferry. So you can imagine. So all we had was a rag to go around in, and I said, to the amusement of a lot but some of the customers, they said, we've never seen as much as that in all these days. And they was in their 80s, and it was very funny, to the embarrassment of this young lad. But he was safe, and then the lifeboat got out, and they stopped the boat. But some of the memories, you know, are sometimes funny, and some of, you know, we've rescued people who really was in trouble, you know. So it's been great to be a part of Fleetwood and CineWyre Ferry.
Let's open it up to the audience. We've got a roaming microphone, so if anybody's got any questions for these guys, please pop your hand up. Jack will come over.
Right, first things first. Thank you. Hi, really enjoyed the film. I've been waiting a long time to see it. I know it feels like everybody in Fleetwood's seen it before, but I have not, and I really enjoyed it. But I wanted to ask a question to Anton. It's like, what's your filmmaking background? And you've probably spent a lot of time with this film. How long have you spent with this film, and how long has it taken up of your life?
Oh, a couple of years. Yeah, so film's been kind of a big part of my life since I was about 15. Prior to making this film, I made another film, a Manchester story, which was a feature documentary, which was about the positive things done in the aftermath of the Manchester Arena bombing in 2017. And that consumed a good couple of years as well. I was very lucky with that because all the interviews we shot that just before COVID. But we kind of we did the edit during COVID, and then we were like umming and ahhing how to release it. And it kind of got released online and didn't really get onto the film festival circuit. This one has had much more of a on-screen presence as it is being here today, but also we did a lot of community screenings as well, like Fleetwood Library, the Born Arms and stuff, and a couple of community groups, so Fleetwood Civic Society as well. So yeah, it's kind of been with me for a while, but then also I think the petition added to it as well. So when I started that, I was like, oh, this is actually, you know, we're going to carry it on. So yeah, it takes a while. And often when I go to festivals as well, when the film was running in festivals, people always ask the question, what's next? What are you doing next? Well, more often than not, I say, well, I don't know. And people may be perplexed by that, but I don't do things by half measures. I do things because I actually will put everything into it. So yeah, you're very much right. I'm glad you enjoyed the film. Thank you for coming today. And it's, as you say, it has taken up a lot of my time, but I've enjoyed every minute of it.
Anybody else? Lady in the front.
Thank you. I was born and bred in Fleetwood, born in my grandmother's back bedroom, and I've travelled a lot on the ferry boats in my life. I didn't see your advert for people who wanted to say something, but one day I decided to go to Knott End. I hadn't been for quite a long time, and I got on. I couldn't use my bus pass then because they'd changed all that. Didn't mind anyway because I was just going to the cafe. Anyway, a storm brewed up. It's just, I think, nearly over 2 years ago. It was a really bad storm, and at the end of my time in the cafe, the ferry boat had stopped running because it was so bad, so I couldn't get home. So the cafe rang up the ferry boat, I don't know, it was you, Tony, and they came out specially, but we had to rescue somebody from a trawler that was also in trouble. So we made a diversion and did that, and well, it was just an experience really. I was the only one on the boat. And rescuing the trawler, it was something special really, that I can't forget. But anyway, thank you for all your effort, because I really enjoyed it. It was lovely to see hear all the history about it as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Did we answer your question already? Gentleman there.
Ellen, with such a wealth of stories regarding the Fleetwood to Knott End Ferry, there must have been, like you said before, a lot of hard decisions of things that were left on the cutting room floor. It's interesting to imagine, like, how long do you think, if time permitted, if there was to be, say, a feature-length end-to-end film, how many stories, how long do you think that would be? And because it must have been so hard to comprise it into such a short film like that.
Well, over 2 days, I think we shot something like, well, bear in mind this is B-roll footage as well, so there'll be shots of the ferry and shots of the sea as well, but it's probably about 3.5 hours worth of footage for that. Yeah, probably about at least 45 minutes, because I think we spoke, or maybe even longer, because I think we spoke for your interview was like 40 minutes, and it was great. It was great because we just delved into little everything, and hence how it worked so well when it came to cutting it together, because we got a little slice of everything and it worked really well. But yeah, be very long.
I think off the back of that, what extra work would need to be done if you wanted to make a feature-length version?
That would have probably have comprised of maybe, I mean, I didn't envisage that I would be the one launching a petition campaign, but it would probably have followed that. Meetings with maybe Lorraine Beavers and maybe some of the council. That probably would have been the thing to have carried on the narrative, but I didn't envisage that I would be the one that would launch the petition. But it kind of worked out the way it did, because if I hadn't have done the film at the time that I did it, and it got kind of fresh in everyone's mind and it got out in the Gazette and everything, then people wouldn't have known about the petition. And that's why so many people would like come straight forward to like, right, I'm signing that, and that's why it sat on the page, the film. So it kind of worked, and it just shows you the power of filmmaking, where it can galvanize a community to say, actually, no, you know what, we're actually going to save our heritage, and we're also going to protect a vital public asset, and we care about this thing. And that's, if making this film and all the support I had helped to do that, then I'm forever grateful to all those people. So yeah.
Yeah.
across the river there, because it's very special. It's got such a heritage, and your film has really helped, I think, to bring that to light, really. And I think, you know, there should be funding. I mean, in the future, they may be able to make it so that cars can go across on a boat. I mean, I know that that's going to be quite a lot, but it would solve some problems that cars would be able to be used, because as you said, cars are there, they're in the future, they're everything, but the funding is so important to raise it.
Tony might be better placed to answer this more than me.
Yes.
I do know that at Knott End there is a fund, legacy, that somebody had died and left money to the welfare of the ferry and the community of Knott End, and that's in the hands of the council. They have, you know, they do know about it. So I don't know how that would be spent, it'd be trustees or whatever. But like I say, you're on about cars, there'll be a bigger ferry. At the moment, the dredging, because we've got no ships here, that's the main thing. Someone on about the barrage, the same reason why the barrage failed was the silting, and it wasn't feasible. So the only other way is they're on about a bridge, maybe, and you know, if they keep the ferry, how long will they keep it, you know, and it all depends on, I'm sorry to say, money and the funding.
How important is it for the ferry to stay if, because you mentioned like a bridge as an option, you know, how important would it still be to have the ferry if something like that happened?
Well, I think everybody loves a ferry, you know, if you talk to anyone who's been on the ferry, they've got different stories, and like I say, from grandparents to parents to the new generation, now the kids, when we spin round, the mums come up to me, can we have a spin? And I spin round for the children, and of course, they'll remember that, you know, and they want to go faster, and some of the older people slow down. So we have a bit of a fun doing that in the summer and when the kids are off school, and we've got all the caravans at Knott End. It brings them here, and it's how the access from the ferry, who can come on holiday, go on a ferry, go on a tram, go to Blackpool, come back. It's absolutely, you know, unique. And when you talk to the holiday makers, how they love the trip, and the kids are all looking forward to it. And of course, you've got the Pleasure Beach, you've got Cleveland's for shopping, and you know, we've got a lovely area. So without the ferry, I think the whole community, you know, it'll lose something.
So when this was produced, the future of the ferry was uncertain. Yeah. So just for the benefits of everybody here, right now, for the immediate future, where is it looking for the ferry?
Well, at the moment, we've got, like I said before, the council will all merge. You know, Blackpool's going into Fleetwood and that, and the elections have got to go. We've been promised that the funding is going to be there. Now, we do know that the funding has to go up. If it's the same funding, what could the operators do? Because, like I say, one of my chief things when I was trying to keep the price low, because we lost the concessions for the older generation, and then we knew we was taking more money with that concession than when we got rid of this concession. You know what the council did? Because grandparents was bringing children. They was going free. They didn't mind paying for the children, and more people used the ferry. Where once they put the bus pass, the travel pass, was taken away, it went down. But like I say, we try and keep the prices down as much as we can. But like everything else, I've got my son who's the other skipper, he's got a young family. If he was getting his tickets that he's got, he could get another job somewhere else, which would pay a lot more money. You know, and that's the situation we're in. You know what I mean? It's trying to keep the staff, and everybody's doing the same thing. Shops around here, that's the cafe at the top, the young people that they used to employ, the national insurance has gone up for them, the minimum wage has gone up for them, and you can see what's happened. The cafe's shut at the top because of that situation. You know, they can't afford to keep staff as well. You know, so it's not just the ferry; it's the whole community. We've got to come up with ideas.
So for everybody out there who believes and supports the ferry, as I'm pretty sure everybody across the region does, what can they be doing to help secure the future?
Just put pressure on your council and your MP. I think it'll be a loss. It's like when we lost the train. You know, people always go on about the train service that we had in Fleetwood, and it never comes back. You know, we're trying and trying to get it to come back. Sadly, the fishing industry. And then you look at the little ferry, the fishermen that used to go to sea come on the ferry, and they all know me, you know, because it's a tight community, and they say, at least we can go to sea for a while, you know, so they look at it with fondness, and it's the last one in our county, and that's what we've got to keep.
Anybody else out there, any last comments?
Dredging and everything, if I could get funds, I would do it. I would do the project myself to get it organised. And dredging that would bring the fishing industry back. And all the fishing, the channel are going abroad everywhere. We don't get the benefit of our fishing really there and everything. And, you know, we can't just let it slip through our fingers anymore. It's got to be done, you know, and so...
So you need to exchange business cards with this lady. She's going to be very supportive of the future.
I think there's hope. So I don't know if some of you are aware in this room. So there is the Fleetwood Pier Company. I don't know if you've seen that online. That's been set up by a group of people that they want to restore the Fleetwood Pier. And currently they're in the process of raising some initial funds. And buckets have been going out to local businesses, have been following their page. So I'm very much supporting with what they're doing. So again, people really do care about this place, and people are trying to make moves to make a difference. I mean, that would be amazing if that was kind of somewhat restored, because it was actually one of the last pleasure piers built, and when it burned down in 2008, yeah, it was a really big deal as well. So there are people who do care, and there are some reasons to be optimistic as well. There is some stuff happening.
Fleetwood's got one of the most amazing sunsets that you'll ever see in your life, and that is even worth coming here for. You know, it's time that the hoteliers and everything got it all together here, because it's a little gem, this, in Lancashire. And we've got, like you said, Tony, we've got everything, trams, the ferry boat, all sorts of things, you know, that other places haven't got. So what's happening? Wake up and smell the daisies.
Thank you.
So let's wrap things up. Anton, we've got a few young filmmakers in the audience today. I know plenty of people watch these Q&As as well. If we could impart one good piece of advice to the next generation of filmmakers, maybe looking to get into documentary style like you have, what one piece of advice would you give them?
Go in person, pick up the phone, and go to your local library. It's all well and good sitting at home and, like, you know, reading through articles and trolling the internet. The internet is great, don't get me wrong, but it'll only get you so far. It's about meeting real people here, speaking to them in person, building a relationship with them, that's how you get this thing done. And like I say, finding stuff in the archive and all this support that I had from my local library and physically going in and them emailing me, look at what we found in the archives. We found this, about the article and stuff like that. So it's about building those human relationships, and you can only get so far with, looking at news articles online. So you've got to hit the ground running, and don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to ask people, look, do you want to be part of this project that I'm doing? And more often than not, they'll actually say yes. And there you go. So just be honest with what you're doing and hit the ground running.
Anton, Tony, thank you so much for your time, for speaking to everybody. Big round of applause, please. Thank you very much.